From the shadow of Mount Rainier comes your business superheroes, the Disruptors, Bill and Candace.
I'm Bill.
I'm Candace.
And we're the Disruptors.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Dr. Troy Munson we have here.
It's I couldn't stay away. It's awesome.
You came right back. Usually they run for their car. Don't turn off the motor. I'm only going to be in there for a minute. Boy, this is exciting.
Yes, because the last time he was here, he was talking about hormones. And you learned a lot about yourself, didn't you?
Oh, no,
Yes, you did.
Oh, I did, yes. Okay, I learned a lot about myself. Thank you, Candace.
And his hormone levels and how important they are.
See, you're driving me nuts already. Can we get back to the doctor now?
Well, I'm just going ahead and talking about how valuable it is that we have him here.
We should talk about diabetes because you're going to have a sugar fit in a minute.
I do like sugar. Sugar tastes good.
Oh,
I actually like the sweet.
Oh, you like the sweet?
I love fruit.
Fruit.
So can you talk to us about
fruit?
Diabetes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Diabetes is, shall we say, rampant in our country. It is the bane of everybody's existence because there is so much sugar in our environment. And the problem with diabetes, and we'll get to this in a moment, but we're going to find out how its connection is to cancer.
Oh, really?
And it's that important that we really start taking a good look at really who we are as a society and what is important to us. This is one of those talks I'm not going to make a lot of friends, unfortunately.
That's okay. We love you. We're fans. So.
Yeah, we don't make a lot of friends either on this show. So
we've got pom-poms to wait.
All right. So, diabetes, everybody realizes that, hey, it's probably from eating too much sugar or carbohydrates. We hear about these words like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, all these things that we're supposed to have in our diet and daily allowances and all kinds of crazy stuff. But just for recap, we know proteins are meat, fish, chicken, eggs, that kind of thing. And fats are, they're so vitally important for our brain health, for hormone production, for internal cells, the external part of the cell or the covering around the cell to keep water in our cells to stay hydrated. Fats are absolutely vital for even conducting nerves for me talking right now and moving my lips and my tongue.
Wow.
And so without fats, I couldn't do this. And yet we're told fats are
bad.
And we've been told that, hey, this food pyramid, we got to eat lots of what?
Fattening foods, actually. I mean, grains and...
Yeah.
Yes, grains and bread and...
bagels
kind of
stuff with bagels with cream
your 4
cheese
servings or 3 servings or whatever that is.
Yeah, and so now we've got this last category called carbohydrates. And when I tell people that it is better to eat the frosting off a cake than to eat the cake itself. And they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy, but the frosting is just sugar. I said, well, when you look at the design of carbohydrates, if you and I are licking a lollipop, we're going to peel off a sugar molecule one at a time.
Sure.
But we're going to do it fast, don't get me wrong, but we're going to peel off one at a time.
One at a time.
And if we look at bread or starch, because if we look at a kernel of wheat, we pull the germ off and all we have left is starch. If we look at a kernel of rice, we pull the little germ off of the brown rice and the covering, and all we're left is starch. If we look at potato, it's starch. If we look at corn, we pull a little germ off the corn and we just have starch.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, the design of starch is densely packed sugar molecules, and when they hit water, they explode into trillions of molecules of sugar all at once.
Oh, my.
So it'd be like me going to Candace and say, Candace, hey, I know you live out in the country or something like that. Is it okay if I bring over my gross of bottle rockets because I'm not allowed to keep them in my house because of my HOA, because I live in the city?
Okay.
And you're like, that's kind of weird, but okay.
Kind of different, yeah. Bring them over, yeah.
But now I come over here and say, hey, I got a 20-ton megaton warhead here in my house, in my trunk of my car. I'm not allowed to keep that in the city because,
there might be problems.
Yeah, there might be problems.
They might be
Could you keep it at your house? What would you tell me?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no way. Would you get out of here and run as fast as you can the other way? So here we have starch that really is that megaton warhead for spiking blood sugar. And we have regular sugar, like the frosting on a cake, that's peeling off sugar one at a time. It's still going to spike blood sugar, but it's not going to do it like the starch will. That's the problem. And so when we spike blood sugar so fast, it now has to be brought down. Well, who brings down blood sugar? It's our favorite hormone everybody relates to diabetes is insulin.
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 So insulin crashes blood sugar. It's nondescript and careful about it. It's just going to get it down because it needs it down now. And so as it crashes down, it gets too low, and so now our blood sugar is too low, and our body's like, whoa, there's a famine. Hey, cortisol nudges cortisol and says, hey, you need to be released in the system to mobilize blood sugar so that we can get this blood sugar back up. So now blood sugar rises, and now it rises too much. It starts to go up a little bit too much. And insulin will crash it again, and we get this ripple effect or this wave of up and down. Have you ever seen a child that's on sugar? I mean, they're laughing one minute and crying the next. They're laughing one minute and crying the next.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
They're a mess.
Yeah, and I don't even have kids, but yeah, at that point, it's called nap time.
It's called nap time.
That's a nice word for it. I thought, that's nice.
Valium and off they go.
That's great, yeah. Wow.
Well, duct tape's illegal, so,
So here we have this scenario, and there are other things that are going to try to come into the blood to try to help save the day too. And you're going to have calcium now come into the blood when blood sugar spikes high. It's now a blood stabilizer, a blood sugar stabilizer. It's trying to help. So we're going to have high calcium. We're going to be pulling it from our bones constantly. Wouldn't that lead to something like osteoporosis?
Well, you think so, wouldn't
I
you?
think so.
Yeah.
I have no idea why there's so much osteoporosis going on in our country.
Seems to be every
well, gee,
other
there
commercial.
might be there might be a connection. I don't know.
Might be. I mean,
I don't know.
The jury's still out on that one. And so, these are the things that we don't realize are secondary effects to carb intake. And so, if we look at what carbohydrates do to us, when they spike blood sugar, not only is cortisol got to come in, but where do we get cortisol from? We hear about cortisol on the TV now. It's more and more mainstream that we hear about this hormone called cortisol. It's made from our sex hormones. So think about this. If you're spiking blood sugar and all of a sudden it's crashing, your body interprets that crash of blood sugar as you haven't eaten. You're in a famine. And if there's a famine and you can't eat, do you think your body wants to bring another child into the world and another mouth to feed?
No.
So it's going to naturally take our sex hormones, drop our libido, and now convert our sex hormones to cortisol and try to bring blood sugar back up. That's how it works. It's really fascinating how organized the body is.
Actually, it really is. I mean, it's efficient. The body's made to overcome and compensate, and it's like the military, right? Adapt, overcome.
Exactly.
That's right. We're marching out of here. Yeah. And that is an interesting concept, though, because everybody assumes, of course, that you take the outside medication, and it's not going to have any effect, but it's going to drop my need for sugar down. It's going to balance me out, but without thinking about the overall after effect of what's really going on.
Yes.
Matter of fact, even when I was looking at diabetic, the pyramid for diabetes, okay, they have grains and all that added in. Yes. And I never understood, because we used to help take care of a lady. She was a brittle diabetic, so we were constantly on a wing and a prayer. Praying that, okay, whatever I give you, because we have to check the blood sugar before she eats, and then we had to check it. Of course, she's since passed away. This has been several years, but we would be afraid every time and we would hold our breath in fear, because we would feed her, and it was just like, oh gosh, I hope, I hope that we don't spike it, or I hope we don't have to, give her shots. And it was stressful. 3 times a day, beads of sweat would appear above our brow as we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to feed her? And we had a dietitian, and we had the doctor, and of course we were looking at the diabetic food, pyramid, and what are we going to do? And what you're actually, what I really appreciate, and that is that you're sending there's hope, and that with reconstructing your eating processes, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to develop, or we don't have to eat like that.
Sure. And diabetes, I want to take it one step further and say, when cortisol is in the system, it messes up everything. It makes our digestive system a mess. It makes us gain weight. It messes up our brain function. We don't form long-term memories. Cortisol is
Wow.
not, it is oh my gosh, things are happening right now and I've got to fix the situation. I'm being chased by a lion and things are happening. So in our body, we only store about 20 teaspoons, maybe 30 at the very most, 20 teaspoons of sugar for an emergency response. Because sugar, as we know, if we do lick that lollipop like we were talking about, our tongue becomes raw and cut up because of the sugar is so damaging to tissue. And so we keep it kind of confined in a special way so that we have it for emergency purposes. But our design is that we're fat storers and we're fat burners. That's what we do. And we're very good at it. That's our design, and it's easy to do. So here's the problem. When we spike blood sugar, you cannot burn fat in the presence of insulin.
Don't be darned.
Because think about it. If sugar is already too high in the blood, how are we going to burn the fat on our body? Well, we got to convert it to sugar and burn it.
And burn it out.
Well, if we're already high sugar, we are definitely not burning any fat right now. We are shutting down all fat burning at this point in time. So every person out there that eats a sandwich is spiking blood sugar with the bread. And when they do that, they're now creating this roller coaster effect. They're constantly eating because they can't stabilize blood sugar, so they're constantly crashing, and they don't realize it. They're waking up at night 2 or 3 times because blood sugar is crashing at night, and now cortisol comes up because cortisol was supposed to only really be high in the morning to wake us up. And then it wanes off through the day and we go to bed at night. That's the normal cortisol rhythm. So cortisol is normal in the human body, but it's only supposed to be 1 time a day. And now we spike it all the time. And it's a mess.
Well, and I don't want to take a rabbit trail, but, just talking about, I know, I have that liberty. So, but just talking about how cortisol is produced by your sex hormones or your sex, whatever.
If they're converted.
So, if they're converted, is that why we had such a spike? Read an article probably about 4 or 5 months ago talking about how, they're trying to develop for women something that would boost their libido. We already have Viagra and other products like that on the market that are boosting. And I know that, I don't know. I'm speaking completely out of ignorance, but you're making me think.
You have hit it right on.
Okay.
That's exactly why. So if I have a gentleman with ED come in my office, he cannot...
What is ED?
He cannot get his manliness up.
Oh.
We have erectile dysfunction.
Got that?
I'm wanting you to pay attention.
I'm happy, sitting here being happy.
So if we have something like ED going on, as I begin to correct blood sugar in that gentleman, and now cortisol is coming down, they're now starting to burn fat, their estrogen levels are coming down naturally, now testosterone can overcome that deficit because it's always trying to compete with estrogen because of that issue. And so now all of a sudden he comes to me within, a month, 6 weeks, and he's like, hey, I've been doing no grains, and I've been doing what you've been telling me program-wise. My problem is getting better. Great. I'm glad to hear it. And so we should see those things happening better and better. And men, if you're out there listening to this, if you are not having 5 morning erections during the week, out of 7 days, if 5 days this is not happening, you are already in trouble.
See?
So how can they contact you? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Sure. If they want to contact me, I'd love to be honored to have them do that. You can reach me at 360-893-8586, and my staff will get you information to start on that process, and we will make an appointment for you to come in and evaluate you fully in all the systems of your body and figure out where do we need to go first and how do we want these things to heal.
So kind of wrapping up, what would... so if somebody has diabetes, they would contact you, make an appointment, and you can help them not to have to be, tied to the needle or...
Yes, I've had people that were 30-year diabetics shooting,
oh my gosh,
making shots every day, a couple, 3 times a day, to stability and not needing a shot. And some are more difficult than others, don't get me wrong. There's some that are genetic components. Let's just talk about genes real quick.
Right.
They used to tell us that it's all about your genes. And they said, well, okay, it's 10% your genes. Mm-hmm. And it's 5% your genes. And it's like, okay, well, it's actually only 3% of your genes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, all disease conditions are less than 2% of your genes. So what does that tell us? It tells us that if we trigger things in our environment, that genes get turned on and off. So let's say within my